Okay, so now we start recording. Okay, welcome guys. Today we are trying to cover Lab 5, build your database servers and interact with your DB using an app. So we are gonna try and cover the Amazon Managed Database Instance, a service called as Amazon Relational Database Services. The Amazon RDS makes it easy to set up, operate, and scale a relational database in the cloud. It provides cost-effective and resizable capacity while managing time-consuming database administrative tasks like deployment, giving access, and whatnot. While which also allows you to focus on your application and business rather than on database flexibility, elasticity, scalability. The Amazon RDS provides you with six familiar database engine to choose from, which is Amazon Aura, Oracle, Microsoft SQL Database, PostgreSQL, MySQL, and MariaDB. By the end of this demonstration, we will be able to understand how to launch an Amazon RDS database instance with high availability. Maybe we not use a high like the multi-zone approach, but we'll consider high availability. Configuring the database instance to permit connections for your web server which is hosted on EC2 instance. Once a web application, we can interact with the database using few of the commands. So this lab demonstration will be through one of my console, where what we're trying to do is, let's say we have a private subnet network under a region embedded into a VPC. We have a security group as web server. What we'll do is we'll demonstrate that web server can communicate with master and secondary IDS DB under this infrastructure. So to start the lab, we'll search for VPC because the first approach of ours is to grasp the security group name for the DB. And we'll quickly create a security group for the RDS database instance. So what we'll do is we have selected VPC. Now choose security group. Security group. So we don't have any security group with DB security group. We have web security group. If you want to take a quick look at it. So inbound rules, HTTP and SSH. Source can be anything. Outbound is all network. Is there tagging? No. Yeah. By the name web security group, and it's a cloud formation. And this I used for something else. That's fine. If you take a look at this, we don't have anything for our database, so we'll quickly create one. We'll give the name as DB security group and description as permit access from web security group. VPC, we know that we want to configure it under a under a VPC network, so which is lab VPC. If we want any inbound rule, we provide an inbound rule by saying, so this will be, okay, so if you choose anything here specifically, it will populate the port So the type of the rule for me, as it is MySQL, the target of our application will be we are gonna create an Amazon RDS using engine of MySQL Aurora. So we'll choose 3306. So the source, place your cursor in a field next to the right of the custom and type here. Okay, let me try to. So we want a secure web security group. Remember that EC2 instance was deployed there, and you can always give a description. So this is how we have added a rule. What to do is click on add. It's already added. So outbound rule says nothing. Da-da-da. If you want to add a tag, you can add it here. And for now, we'll choose create the security rule. If you see that this port and so says from this web server to this port, the communication should happen. Now, our task two is to create a DB subnet because until we don't have a subnet, we won't get the private IP address. So to create a database subnet group that is used to tell the RDS which subnet can be used for the database, each database subnet group requires subnets in at least two availability zones. In AWS console, what we'll do is we'll search here for RDS, quickly see Amazon or Aurora and RDS, and in the left-hand side you see subnet group. There are no subnets created here. So what we'll do is we'll create a quick subnet group. We'll name this subnet as db-subnet-group, and we'll give that a description as db subnet group. And then we'll choose the VPC as everything under the same port. Now we want to create a multi-availability subnet. So what we'll do is add subnet and we'll select, let's say, East 1, East 1B, and then with that said, for this subnets, we have following subnets in this. So if you see US East 1, the private and public, private subnet and public subnet. So these are two different IP addresses. So I'll select private here. I'll select private here because I want my instance only accessible within the network, not beyond it. So I selected two subnets. Now I just select create. Now task one, remember what we did was we created a security group for our RDS instance to talk to our EC2 instance. And then task two was we created a subnet for our RDS database instance. Now what we'll do is we'll create an Amazon RDS DB instance. So to do that, mm, okay, we will. So now it says that we'll multi-availability zone using the Amazon RDS deployment. So what we'll do is let me quickly navigate to dashboard. Let's see databases. What all database we have? Yeah, database, no database here. We got couple of IBM. Something's added in there now. Hmm. So looks like what's new in there? Since it's new in here, maybe this and this definitely is a relational database system by IBM. Actually easy to set up, operate, and scale. Well, it costs a 50 and oh, I see. Good. That IBM in there, but the thing of my interest will be MySQL. So under engine option, under template, I will choose dev and test. Under availability and durability, see multi-easy cluster deployment, variable standby, primary instance. These are just read copies. Okay, so this does not have an endpoint, it just have a single endpoint. And there's a single. Well, for now we will choose multi-easy. At the start I did mention that we'll not go for it, but looks like we have the feature to use it. Let's see if it is under free tier. This is just a configuration, need not be the cost. So under setting, configure DB instance identifier, we will rewrite this DB instance name as lab-db and the master username rather than admin, maybe main, manage in AWS. Yeah, master password, click on self-managed. Self-managed master password as lab-password. You can ignore this password because end of the day my lab will be demolished. Under DB instance class, instance configuration, let me choose, let me, oh man, okay, okay, oh, right. There has to be something under free tier. Ah, this scroll. Maybe I will choose DBT3 Micro. DBT3 Micro, it's like free tier, will not charge me. And then for storage, DB3 allocated storage at 20 is sufficient. And then storage type, general purpose SSD. Yeah, it just came handy, so I'll choose it. So under connectivity, do not connect to any EC2 resource, don't require setup. You can connect to an ACS config resource, set up a connection to an EC2, but we'll do this manually. If you select here, you have to choose which instance you want to connect. We'll do that in a while. And there is also a network type, use dual stack mode. Make sure that you associate an IPv6 header block with a subnet in the VPC you specify. Only over the IPv4. You can also communicate with IPv6, but for that you need a subnet to have the IPv6 addresses also configured in it. That's a good thought to migrate from IPv4 to IPv6. Then we talk about storage and connectivity. Under connectivity, we are choosing the DB subnet group, existing VPC security group as DB security group, and we will deselect default. So in that sense, stack. You can have tags, password authentication. We're not using IAM. I'll quickly check for additional security. Uh, Initial database name. If you do not specify a database name, Amazon RDS does not create a database. So so we can create a daily database, but let's give it a name there. If you do not specify a database name, the Amazon RDS does not create a database. So I hope you get that. So we're creating a database with name as lab, and then we'll quickly uncheck enable automatic backup. So we just want, and then we'll also uncheck for encryption. We don't want encryption. If you want encryption, you can create the AWS KMS key, and then you can encrypt it using that key. So basically, this process, what it does is it will turn off the backup, which is not normally recommended, but will make the database deploy faster for this lab deployment. Now, all of this is done. This will give you an estimated monthly cost based on your DB instance storage. Now, what we'll do is we'll click on create database. I hope we have carried out all the steps. Also, under connectivity, try to see if you have choose lab. Yes. Yeah, okay. Your request to create a DB instance didn't work. ARN value is required if you specify a monitoring interval value greater than 0. Okay. Okay. So under monitoring, enable enhanced monitoring. We don't want enhanced monitoring. We don't have a rule for now because this is just a lab environment for simulation. There you go. Just try to close this. Suggested add-ons for the lab DB use RDS proxy. Create an elastic cache cluster from RDS using your DB setting. You can save up to 50 cost, gaining up to there it goes. What you'll do is hide for another 30 days and close it. So we have our database. Now, what we'll do is we'll interact our database with the web server. To discover the web server IP, what we'll do is we will choose the AWS detail drop-down menu, copy the IP address value. Now, so let's see if we have any. We have a web server IP. So this comes from my VM. That's a web server IP, which I open into my browser. It shows me my web page. If I choose my RDS, it is asking me to configure the following steps, which I can also do it from the CLI though. But for the RDS, go into your database, allow it a second to settle down, give it a quick refresh. It should have been here. Yeah, the status looks creating. We'll wait for it to get completed. So now it shows status is modifying, and we also got the endpoint name. We'll wait for it to say something. It does show CPU and current connectivity. Also got some Cloud Watch embedded already. Quickly, let me grab this, put down an endpoint. Database will be lab. Remember, we named it as lab, so it created a database. And username will be changed from admin to main, and password, which I particularly remember. If I click submit, yeah, so this will execute the command. There you go. So this is my database. This is all my application is. And then with that said, it shows active VPC and whatnot. Let's see the status. Service and modifying, monitoring. It shows it should show a connection here. Never mind. Okay, with that said, we do have our yes, we can edit that. John Power, Doi Power. We're able to write it too. Let's see what all easy we have. Availability zone, just one. Well, this is our EC2 instance. What I'll do is for now, I will click submit. With that said, I stop the recording and see you once again in upcoming AWS sessions where we'll demonstrate such labs. Thank you. Take care.